Crafts and Industries. India has a heritage of crafts since the times of Indus Valley civilization. Craft means making objects in metalwork, iron carving, stone carving, basketry, matting, etc. Many of these crafts assumed classical form while others still continue as folk art. Indian crafts flourished during the Mughal period. Cotton textiles were the most important and around 150 types of fabrics were produced. Emperor Akbar encouraged the production of silk and Bengal became a very important center for raw silk. The craftsmen's home became the workshop. Many of them settled in large numbers in and around the centers of export along the coast, trade centers, and in European factory towns craftsmanship achieved high level of efficiency. Trivia: before arrival of British in India, our country was well developed in industrial and manufacturing activities. In the pre-British era, the artisans mainly catered to the needs of village community, while in big towns there were craftsmen who were patronized by local rulers and nobles. These craftsmen produced luxury goods for the traders who sold them to other countries. There was a great demand for items like woolen, silk, and cotton textiles, jute, saltpeter, opium, spices, etc. in Europe. The fine cotton cloth, especially the Dhaka muslin, were in great demand all over the world. The industries in town were well organized in guilds which provided protection and also regulated the prices and quality of goods. As the Mughal Empire became weak, urban skilled craftsmen flourished in regional centers like Banaras, Patna, Surat, Lucknow, Jhansi, Gwalior, etc. Each of these specialized in a particular craft. But things changed with the arrival of European Trading Company. The period of modern imperialist expansion was marked in India by an intensification of British exploitation and a corresponding change in its character, in which the capitalist exploitation of India came to dominate all other methods. Nevertheless, the new methods of exploitation did not replace the already established forms of plunder, industrial and trading mistreatment, but were supplementary to these processes. Decline of handicrafts. The Indian handicrafts faced a sharp decline with the advent of British from the 19th century. East India Company began to monopolize the artisans and started dictating its own terms to the craftsmen. The commercial policies of the British government were largely influenced by the imperialistic regime in India. During the later half of 18th century and the first half of 19th century, British underwent profound socio-economic transformation due to Industrial Revolution, and the British industry developed and expanded rapidly on the basis of modern machines, factory system and capitalism. By means of imperialism, British also captured and monopolized the markets in Asia and Africa. It now had a strong industrial class in whose interest manufactured goods were exported to vast markets, provided in the form of colonies. Thus, the British government followed a policy of free trade or unrestricted entry of British goods in India in the 19th century. The Indian handicrafts were exposed to an unequal competition of machine-made goods from the British. The Indian handmade goods were unable to compete with the much cheaper machine-made foreign products. The Indian products which competed with the British products were subjected to heavy duties when exported. The duties on some of these exports were as high as 400%. This led to the decline of Indian export market. The desire for raw materials to keep the British Industrial Revolution going led to these drastic measures. The British commercial policy was guided by the needs of the British industry, with the main aim of selling British goods and a regular supply of raw materials. Some of the factors that led to the downfall of Indian industries are these: imposition of heavy duties on Indian imports, the British policy of free trade in India, exporting raw materials from India in large quantities, oppression of weavers as they were paid less amount than the usual price, the unfair competition with British machine-made goods, callous attitude of British administration towards Indian weavers. Trivia. Clothing fibers in Mughal dynasty included muslins of 3 types: Abbe Ravan, running water, Baft Hawa, woven air, and Shabnam, evening dew.